Story 1. Outwardly, don't care, not my business, do you? Internal monologue. Let's see if we can figure out which one wanted it and which just went along with it and is secretly miserable. Story 2. Whatever consenting adults want to do in their relationship with other consenting adults is none of my concern. Story 3. I think if both people are happy and on the same page, then that is what matters. Every relationship is different. As long as there is honesty and respect, it is good. On the other hand, I do think sometimes an open relationship can be a way for people to avoid fully committing or a safety net so they are not totally alone while still searching for someone. It really depends. Story 4. I think a lot of things at once. First, that is cool. Second, open means something different to every relationship, so what does that mean for them? Third, nice. Story 5. Personally, I am not a fan of an open relationship. I believe that we should only have one partner, but if it is not hurting me in any way, why should I care? It is not my relationship, so to each their own. Story 6. I think that you know the strength they have and how secure they must be in their relationship. It is all about trust. Story 7. I'll just hope the future breakup isn't too long or nasty for whichever of them I care about, or both. Beyond that, I think it's foolish to attempt, but I don't particularly care. It's not my business as long as it's mutually consensual. Story 8. I would wonder about the situation. If you barely know them, that seems like a large revelation to make. Many different assumptions could come from that. On the other hand, if you know them well, it could simply be that you are trusted. It might also be that they are interested in you, your partner, or both of you if you are a couple. Someone who knows what they are about should not try to push other people into that kind of relationship. Revealing an interest does not have to be coercive. If they keep bringing it up or make repeated offers, then they are not taking no for an answer. Story 9. I pity them, but that is based on the 3 women and 1 man I have known in open relationships at various times, who called me in the middle of the night to cry because their spouse was having affairs with other people. I have never actually met someone in an open marriage where both parties were completely happy with the situation. One of them was always compromising because they saw open as better than cheating. I am sure such relationships exist, but we all form biases based on our own experiences, and this is mine. Story 10. To each their own, but an open relationship is like having a job and freelance work at the same time. Stressful. Story 11. I know a couple who are in an open relationship. I am closer to the wife than the husband, and she is much happier now. He is a workaholic doctor who was not meeting her physical or emotional needs, but she still loved him and wanted to remain married. They have grown children. She is a medical professional herself and earns more than enough money to be financially secure, so she is not staying with him for the money. They had a serious talk about a decade ago and decided to open up the relationship. She has a steady relationship with 1 man. Her husband has full permission to have a lover as well, but he has not done so, at least not as far as she knows, and there is no reason for him not to tell her. She does not bring her lover home, but does not take special steps to hide the relationship. I have gone out with them several times, and they act as affectionately in public as any couple. It is definitely not the kind of relationship I would want, but it works for them. Story 12. I think that it is their business, and I respect them for being confident enough in themselves and each other to allow other people into their lives. I do not think it is something I would be okay with. I have insecurity issues, but for others, I do not see anything wrong with it. It is none of my business what others do in their private lives. Story 13. I think they are playing a dangerous game, and basic human nature says they will not be in each other's lives for long. However, to each his own. Story 14. If they are very obnoxious and vocal about it, it indicates insecurity. If they are calm and discreet, and you only hear it through the grapevine, they are the coolest and calmest people in the world. Story 15. Neat. I am in polyamorous relationships. Privately, I am a little dubious of open relationships as opposed to polyamory or monogamy because they are often a messy, semi-open, semi-closed arrangement where it is very easy for partners to have different expectations. However, with high levels of communication, they can be good for people. Story 16. Usually, I think about how odd it is that it always seems to be really unattractive people who do this kind of thing. Story 17. I could not care less about what others do if it does not affect me, but I could not be in an open relationship. Story 18. It never works, but I'm not going to tell them that. I know plenty of polyamorous people, and most are not in open relationships. They are in partnerships. People who start monogamous and end in open relationships are the ones I judge, but I mainly keep it to myself. You can tell it's a train wreck when they act so high and mighty about not conforming to the norm and the idea that humans were never meant to be monogamous. Story 19. As someone who has tried the open marriage arrangement, it does not work long term. In my case, I agreed to it but felt it was too uncomfortable for me, so I stopped. My wife was traveling for work and met someone whom she is now seeing more than me. She now wants to be publicly separated but still coexist since we have a house together. Story 20. Not directly affected. I use this phrase often, and I do my best not to worry about or even comment on things that do not impact me. It has made my life much simpler. Story 21. Honestly, I'm just curious and want to know what type of open relationship it is. Some open relationships are completely fine. Everyone is relaxed and having a good time, while others are like watching a flaming train wreck. Story 22. I think they are self-pleasing clowns and I limit contact with them. Usually, self-pleasing individuals have a way of pleasing themselves at other people's expense in multiple ways. Story 23. Everyone I have ever encountered in my actual life is when person 1 wants to have sexual relationships with other people while still having the stability and benefits of being in their relationship, and person 2 is too attached to let person 1 go. Are there some rare open relationships where both people genuinely love each other and genuinely approve of their partners developing romantic and sexual relationships with multiple other people at the same time? Maybe. Probably. But it is not a dynamic that will ever work for the vast majority of people. Story 24. That it is headed for a divorce soon, unfortunately. The man always thinks it is going to be amazing, but then no one wants him and the woman gets all the attention. That or someone ends up cheating. Every person I know who has done this has had this outcome. Not my circus, not my clowns. So I do not really care. Story 25. It is great for people who can make it work, I bet. I have not really had the occasion to try myself. My first time was with another man's wife while he watched, and he seemed okay with it. Story 26. Been there, done that. It is not for everybody, and it is usually a disguise for cheating or drama. However, there are some extremely rare, borderline miraculous cases where everyone involved is in love with each other, and that is a wonderful experience. Story 27. Oof. Good on them. I can only manage the energy for half of a man. A whole man would put me over the top. Story 28. If everyone is enthusiastically consenting, and no one feels pressured or coerced, good for them. My roommate practices solo polyamory. She has multiple partners and never wants to cohabitate with a romantic partner. She has been with the same 2 partners longer than the 10 years I have known her. She has also had a few shorter relationships during that time, but those 2 are not going anywhere anytime soon. What works for most people will not work for everyone, and that is exactly as it should be. Story 29. The relationship is doomed. Sorry, but that is what I think, and my success rate has been about 90% with it so far. I only know of one couple that has made it work, but they both basically do not want to ever settle down. Both are very promiscuous and have cheated repeatedly on their partners in the past, so I guess in that sense it works out. Usually, what happens is one person in the relationship has either cheated or wants to cheat and brings up the idea of an open relationship to feel better about it. The other person agrees because they are desperate to keep the relationship going. If both people were 100% on board with it and neither had hurt feelings over it, then sure, it could work. But that is pretty much never the case. Being in an open relationship from the beginning increases the odds for sure. Going from non-open to open is pretty much a death sentence. But starting out as open from the beginning has about a 10% chance of working. Story 30. I would not think much of it at all. In fact, I know a few people like this. If they are happy, I am happy. Story 31. I know numerous people who are in long-term, successful open relationships or marriages. I do not really think much about it at all. If I do, it is mostly admiration regarding the open and honest communication required in their bond and the lack of jealousy, which would destroy it for most people. Story 32. Absolutely nothing. Except I would probably picture what that life feels like. Then I would give my husband a hard time for cheating on me in my imagination of what that looked like. Story 33. If it works for them and it is truly mutual, then good for them. If the implication is, do you want to be a part of this open relationship? The answer is no. Story 34. I am a 75-year-old male and a widower. If another couple tells me they are in an open relationship, I am most likely to say, okay, and leave it at that. There is not enough information for me to think about it more than that. I know some couples have what could be called an open relationship. My wife and I had one kind of. The problem is that people have different ideas about what that means. I will not go into it, but in the agreement between my wife and me, there were many limitations. It was absolutely not do what you wish with anyone you wish. That is as much as I will say about it here. That another couple has an open relationship would not shock me. Nor would I think it good or bad because, first, it is none of my business and I am not into judging others. Second, the term is too broad for me to conclude what the details are. Third, I am not going to get involved, so I do not need to know more or make any judgment. If I were looking to get involved, I might have more questions, but I am not. My wife and I sometimes invited someone into a threesome or a foursome with us, but we did not approach strangers. Neither of us was really into sex with strangers. In our case, it was only with trusted friends, people we had known for a while. People we were confident had a solid and stable mental attitude and understood that this would be recreational sex only, no emotional attachments or expectations. We did not want to get involved with people who were in troubled relationships. No, thank you. Keep your problems to yourself, we will pass. As a personal choice, we avoided people who were into serious drug or alcohol use. It was not our thing. So you might say we were very selective. It was not really about looks, but about minds and personalities. We did not want to be involved in other people's problems. The sex was not worth that. We had to like you and trust you. So somebody says they are in an open relationship to me, and that is all I know. I am likely to just say, okay, that's nice, and let it drop. There is not enough information for me to do more than that. Story 35. I have been in two. If you do it right, it is perfectly functional. However, it is also a disaster when done incorrectly, and I have seen it done incorrectly. Story 36. It depends strongly on whether they are both present or not. If they are both there, that is none of my business. Honestly, why are you telling me? If it is just one, does the other know? Story 37. Reminds me of those agreements people used to make with friends in case they did not find anything better. You are perfect for me because I do not want to die alone, but for right now, you are not worth my full attention. Story 38. While I do not begrudge anyone for how they live their life as long as they are not hurting others, I do secretly think a vast majority of people who ask for an open relationship have a fear of commitment or do not trust themselves not to cheat. Story 39. The people I have met are mostly either staying together for the children or cannot afford to live independently, so they settle for their current situation. Story 40. If it works for them and there is trust and honesty on both sides, then more power to them. Open relationships are not for everyone, but that does not mean they are wrong, just different. The key is mutual respect and clear boundaries. Story 41. I think it is not a real relationship. I also assume it is the man's idea or that the woman has low self-esteem or both. Since you are asking, that is what I think. Story 42. I still love them both, but I do not support this decision and suggest they stop and honor their relationship. It is technically adultery. Story 43. I do not judge people. It is not my job. However, I think you open yourself up to problems because you cannot separate sex and emotional attachment. When you open your relationship with others, you cannot help becoming emotionally connected to them. I do not think it is healthy in the long run. Story 44. Privately, My respect for them does drop a little. But who cares what I think? They certainly should not if it makes them happy, and it does not change how I treat them as people. Story 45. To me, open relationships are a coward's way of sleeping around without feeling the guilt of cheating. Usually, those people are not relationship material and do not like being tied down to one person. Why be in a relationship if you are not 100% committed to that one person? Story 46. I think we probably would not be friends. It means they are sexually promiscuous, and I do not want that type of friend in my life. I had too many promiscuous friends in my 20s who tried to sleep with me or my husband. I would not welcome that energy again. Story 47. I don't think about it much at all. It's their business. But maybe there's a reason for telling me, and I can think of a couple. 1. They might be trying to arrange a get-together with me and my wife. Not happening. 2. They might be telling me in case, for example, my wife is seen with another man. I won't tell the husband because I know it's okay with him. 3. This relates to the second one. If rumors start, I'll already know the truth. For they might want my opinion. All valid reasons to tell me. Other than that, I don't care. Unless someone else offers another valid reason. What goes on in their bedroom is not my concern. Story 48. As someone who has been in a consensual non-monogamous relationship for 16 years, I want to know if that other couple is attractive and if the woman is interested in partner swapping. Story 49. Accommodating someone's unfaithfulness is their personal business. When they talk about it all the time, that is another matter. Story 50. I am going to assume the worst for the man in the situation until more information is available. I am not going to seek out that information, though, because it is not my problem. Story 51. I think. 1. It is none of my business. Why are you telling me? Maybe it is my business. Are they hitting on me? Most times, yes. Story 52. One person is bullying or manipulating the other into it, and the relationship will not last. Or, they are both enthusiastically into it, which means they are not reasonable and I should not spend time with them. Story 53. I try to internally determine if it was truly mutual or if it is clear that one wanted it while the other did not. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.